Chapter 21 of John is all about Peter. I wondered why he didn't mention his brother James. He doesn't mention James by name right through his gospel, and I thought perhaps it may have been because James was beheaded and he felt sad about talking about his brother. But I think it was something else. Matthew 20 tells us that James and John and their mother went to Jesus, and the mother asked that each of them should be either side of Jesus when he came in his kingdom. I think John was rather ashamed of that, and he made sure in his gospel not to promote either himself or James. But here he speaks about his best friend Peter. The disciples went back to what they knew, fishing, and we see them in chapter 21, back at Galilee and in their fishing boat. And then they hear a voice saying to them, "Let down your net on the other side." Why did Jesus say that? He's taking them back to the very beginning. When he first met them, he told them to let their nets down on the other side. And Peter said, "We fished all day." But they went out and they caught an enormous amount of fish. And Jesus said to them, "From now on, I will make you fishers of men." And this is what he's doing. He's recalling them to that original call that they will be fishers of men, and particularly to Peter. In verse 4 it says, "Early in the morning Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not realize it was Jesus." Why didn't they realize? Why was he so hard to recognize? The two on the road to Emmaus didn't recognize him at first. Mary thought he was the gardener. And now the disciples aren't sure who's on the shore. So why was it difficult? It was because he is in his resurrection body. And while he looks the same, he also is different. If you want to know more about resurrection bodies, read 1 Corinthians 15. But his body was different. It could walk through walls. It could disappear. It could move in different ways. I'm looking forward to my resurrection body one day. Now, Peter 3 times denied Jesus, but Jesus graciously gave Peter 3 times to reaffirm his love. Let's watch this on the video.
"Even if all fall away, I never will, Lord. Never."
Peter, Satan desires to sift you as wheat, but I have prayed for you that your faith may not fail. And when you are strengthened, encourage your brothers.
I would even die for you.
Peter, before the rooster crows this morning, you will have denied me 3 times.
Never. Never.
Peter was to become a prominent leader in the church. Jesus said to him on the beach that morning, "Feed my lambs." He wanted Peter to look after those who were vulnerable. Then he said, "Care for my sheep." He wanted him to protect the other disciples. And then he said, "And feed my sheep." He wanted to disciple them and to help them to go bold in their witnessing.
Simon Peter, do you love me?
Lord, these 3 times you've asked me, you know all things. You know I love you.
Feed my sheep. Simon Peter, when you were a younger man, you did as you pleased, went wherever you wanted to. But now in your age, God will take you and lead you, sometimes to places you never wanted to go to. Will you go, Peter? Will you go for me?
Yes, Lord. I will go wherever you ask me. I will follow with all my heart.
Verse 18 tells us, "I tell you the truth, when you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go." Jesus told Peter that he would be old before he died, and that then he would be led where he didn't want to go. It must have been a comfort to Peter when he was arrested by Herod to know that he would not die until he was old. And what about John? John was the only one who didn't die a martyr's death. He was exiled on the island of Patmos, and there he wrote Revelation. He wrote his gospel when he was older, about AD 85, and the Holy Spirit helped him to recall in vivid detail the things that we have in this remarkable gospel. We've come to the end. I will do one more last video, and I want to say the things that I've learnt in doing this study, and I want you to think about it too. What did you learn? Bye.